Hey guys, Jesse here. Welcome back to Dad Smart Podcast. I'm here with Josh, and we're having another conversation today about Dad Smart. The name, what does Dad Smart mean to us? Enjoy the episode. Josh, you're the one who came up with the name, but it might mean something different to you than to me and to the guy listening.
Yeah, it's a funny Dad Smart has when I think of I think the name Dad Smart brings an idea or a picture in your head, at least for me at first, was like the Red Green Show. Do you remember the Red Green Show?
I have no idea what the Red Green Show is. What year was this?
Can you look it up? Look it up. The Red Green Show. It was on like PBS. I'm just seeing the picture now, and it's so funny.
The Red Green Show is a classic Canadian comedy series that aired from 1991 to 2006.
The Red Green Show is like the hillbilly version of Home Improvement, or like the Tool Time part of Home Improvement.
Yeah, okay.
But it's just all like skits and ridiculous stuff. I guess when you hear the word Dad Smart, it almost sounds like, oh, it's just dad advice or like duct tape wisdom.
It has the connotation of like the uncle or the dad who thinks he's a smart dad and is like giving the cousins who will listen his advice, but it's really terrible advice.
Yeah. So without the context of it being for education, it sort of seems like, what is this? What it means to me is how I want to show up, more than it is like a type of smartness. It's more on me, and it's not like you kids are going to get the Dad Smart treatment today. All right, let's go and do it. It speaks to a way of showing up, which I'm excited to talk about. And before I get into that, though, I guess I wanted to ask like a question. I do think of times like when I was a child when my dad did something for myself or my brother or the two of us, and it was just kind of like, whoa. Wow. Like that's life-changing. The way that you did that or explained that to me now just opened up my world into another dimension. And these like pivotal or very thoughtful moments have happened, whether it's teaching you something very hands-on or teaching you something very academic or just very wise. I can think of these different moments, that I had. And here's kind of a silly story. When I was a kid, we did Pinewood Derby races. And so my dad was always heavily involved with that, in helping all the kids create them, cut them out, we paint them. We would do this every year. And I remember one year we found a VHS video at the library for how to create like the best Pinewood Derby car that will win every time. So we had to get it, and we watched it, and it gave us this design of how to create the car where you basically make the front as small as possible and you extend the back, because all the cars had to be a certain weight. So the only place for them to add the weight was on the back. Well, Pinewood Derby cars sit up high, so my car had all this extra potential energy sitting higher than everyone else's car. And so it would go down, and when it would hit the flat, mine would just get this little extra boost. It would win every time. And I won like the grand championship that year.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And it was like our little secret. Like, oh, we had this great design, and we got, some tips, and we created it. And, every year we worked hard on making these cars and doing our best, and polishing the axles and everything we could to be as fast as we could. And then that one year was just this championship year that we got it. And it was like we were just learning so much like about science without even opening a book.
Yeah.
Like I still remember like, oh yeah, the higher you put up weight, the more potential energy you have as it comes down, years, decades later. Like that's a lesson that has stuck with me.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of, it's a fun and kind of a silly, and it is attached to memory. And so I
Mm-hmm.
think all of that kind of just comes together and you have like that moment. And
Mm-hmm.
to me, that's an example of being dad smart, and in a homeschool environment, we get to have lots of those moments, whether we're
Yeah.
building model rockets or we're reading a book
Mm-hmm.
or learning how to spell a word, and we do it in a
Yep.
fun or a silly way.
Mm-hmm.
It's a way that they'll remember forever, or,
Yeah.
so that's a,
Hmm.
do you have a story of something like that you remember like, whoa, this is cool?
Yeah. So my dad was the guitar player, and my dad was the baseball player. Things that I was
Mm-hmm.
very into as a kid. Wanted to be a
Yeah.
professional ball player. Then later in life, I started doing more music. I mean, I was always playing music. I think I started when I was 6 or something, 8, something like that. But so this isn't a memory that I have of like a learning necessarily, like where for some reason it was a light bulb school moment, because I was in traditional school, and
Mm.
so these kind of things like these extracurriculars, baseball, guitar, like all of these things that I was doing felt like they were moving parallel to school. But one memory that is just burned into my mind
Mm.
is I remember laying down in bed, like my dad was putting me and my brother to bed. We were in different rooms, so my dad was standing in the hallway between
Mm.
our 2 rooms. My room is dark. I'm assuming my brother's room is dark, and there's just this light in the hallway shining on my dad, and he's just standing in the hallway with his guitar strapped over his shoulder, just playing music, playing. He used to love playing that song "Father and Son" by Cat Stevens. If you've ever heard that, whew,
Oh wow.
it's a tearjerker. But he was just in the hallway playing guitar, and I think that's probably been a memory that I've had for a long time. That I'm like, yeah, I want to be a good guitar player. And
Mm.
man, even now just thinking of it, like that, the perspective of that memory from like where I was looking actually in my mind, that's the same perspective of where I first remember sitting and practicing guitar and looking out of
Mm.
that same bedroom, out that hallway, even recording a little tape to send to my grandparents in
Mm.
America, like on a little cassette. And then later in life, when we knew each other, I made a record in college, and the first song opened up with a little snippet of me talking, saying, "Hey, this is Jesse,"
That's right. I
whatever.
remember that.
And that was like
Yeah.
the intro into the first track on the record. And that was sitting in that spot in that bedroom, playing into a
Mm.
cassette recorder where I had watched my dad standing in the hallway, like playing guitar.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty big memory. You gotta listen to that song, Cat Stevens, "Father and Son."
That's incredible. I I love that. Music is such a big part in our family. I love playing the guitar for our two boys, and like at bedtime we have just like our rendition of songs we play. It has a huge impact on us for sure, cuz like we'll play a couple songs, and I will play, usually the last song I'll play will be "It's You I Like,"
Hmm.
which is like a Mr. Rogers song, but I kind of rewrote it a little bit, and I've got like a way of doing it that's really sweet. But once I get to that song, and I'll just play the first progression, finger picking.
Hmm.
And what's funny is like when the kids are like they're about to fall asleep, and I'll start that, I just hear like you hear their big, just deep breath. It's just like, and they just like kind of sink into it.
Oh, that's
And
so
it's like,
sweet.
oh man, and yeah, so it's very fun. I Jesse, I think that is such a beautiful picture of kind of these moments of being dad smart. I think dad smart is this way of incorporating who we are as dads,
Yeah.
our passions, our talents, our experiences that we have collected over our lives so far, and sharing that with our
Mm-hmm.
kids and letting that lead, to more. And yeah, like when we did the Pinewood Derby car, it wasn't like, think of all the science behind this. It was, my dad is a very mechanical, and he loves building things with his hands, working on cars. Like, that's a passion for him. And so Pinewood Derby cars was like, this is fun to
That was
do
right
with my
down his
kids.
alley. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was taking a passion and, doing it together, and it created something super special,
Yep.
in that moment. And I think that is at its core a huge part of what it means to be dad smart,
Yeah.
is being intentional with your time,
Mm-hmm.
intentional with a moment, and just being not afraid to let who you are and your passion lead,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
let your kids come with you and show them. It is that shoulder to shoulder, let's go together. The goal of being dad smart, the goal of doing this in homeschooling and in all of that, we will have curriculum and books, and we will have lots of things that feel foreign to us, but it's translating it through who we are.
Yeah.
And it's translating it through the relationship that we have with our kids that will make it special. And that's what
Yep.
will make it dad smart.
Yeah, I think when you described it as a way of showing up, I think that's perfect. Like, as I was thinking more about this, that it really does, being dad smart to me starts with self-awareness. Us as men and guys and dads, like, we're passionate about something. Like, I'm not going to meet another dad who's not passionate about something. And if it's football and that's it, like, just lean into that. Like, you're passionate about that. Like, if you're going to teach your kid how the game works, the strategy, everything like that in itself is going to translate into deeper connection with your kid.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, being self-aware is really important. And also, another thing I wrote down is, like, adulthood is not automatic. It's not linked to age. There's a lot of grown-up 40-year-old adolescents out there emotionally. And so I think that needs to be a piece that we as dads wrestle with and are self-aware enough to be introspective and look inside of us to realize, like, hey, life isn't just about me now. Constantly being aware of what I can learn about myself, what I can learn just in life, and how I can connect the two when it comes to helping my kids learn and learn alongside my kids,
Yeah. I think one of the biggest moments that happened as we started talking about doing this podcast, and I think where we were with homeschool at the moment, was we started to learn how to infuse interests into our learning. And we started to learn how to take not only interests that I have and translate that into some sort of school lesson, because I think we learned you can literally turn anything into a math lesson. You can turn football into a math lesson really fast. When you have to calculate how many yards to a first down, if you just lost 5 yards and you have,
Yeah.
anything
Love
is
that.
is
Yep.
you can turn any interest into a lesson. And
But it takes being dad smart to realize that. I think that's the whole
well,
point of it.
right, that's what I was saying. It was like when I started to realize that, whoa, we can take all of the interests that one I have, but even better, I can take all of the interests that my kids have, what they're interested in, and started to learn how to make lessons come alive. We need to talk about adverbs today. and Ollie will remember what they are because he got to write a sentence about his favorite hockey player doing an amazing play. And he wrote it, and then we got to highlight the different parts of speech.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like ingrained in his head because he wrote this sentence about this thing he loves, about a player he thinks is the greatest in the world. And he wrote the verbs and the adverbs and the adjectives, and then was able to highlight them and understand, oh, that's what that means, and that's what that means. And it's all, well, we just had to learn about those different parts of speech, different parts of a sentence, and it doesn't feel like a school lesson to him. It's like, well, we talk about hockey all the time, so this is no different than normal conversation.
This is normal. I'm just learning something that all the adults know now.
Yeah, and it felt like, oh, this is school. This is school, and this it was like unlocking a way of doing it that was like, okay. And then that's when it was, there's something really cool here about this, and then the ideas of being intentional. And then, we have this little tag, Dad Smart is, learning to be a different kind of smart. And there's like 3 words that I think really sum up what that is. It's a teacher, it's a mentor, and it's a guide. And those, you can have a different idea for what those all are, but for me, what that means is like I can be a teacher and I can like do the book work, and like a teacher, like a traditional teacher would do. We're going to go through what we need to with our curriculum, or and then I can help teach you those things. That's very traditional. Like we think about, all right, we're going to homeschool, we need to do school at home, so I'm going to be a teacher. But then a mentor, I love the idea, like a mentor is kind of being there for someone as they're developing new ideas, and they're trying to be creative, and you get to just like help them along the way, as they figure it out on their own. And they can come to you for advice or questions, and you can help answer that, just kind of nudge them in the right direction. And then a guide, I think a guide is a person who has all the shortcuts, like follow me. Oh, we're going that way. If we go this way, we're going to save all this time. Or, all of the sweet things of experience that you get in life that like help you get ahead. I think weaving all of that. So Dad Smart is learning how to be a teacher, a mentor, a guide, and knowing how to flow between those 3 things, because at one moment you might be going through the book, and then the next moment they might have a meltdown because they're just overwhelmed. And now you don't need to be the teacher in that moment. You need to switch and just be a mentor or a guide, or with whatever comes in your day, is you can just learn how to flow.
Yeah, and like any of us who have been on the internet since 2020 and have been adults know that everyone and their mother is out there offering a mentorship program or a life coaching thing or a mastermind or something. Everyone's out there doing something. But if you've ever been in anything like that, your mentor is not on the other side of the screen or in the room telling you the answers to everything. The most successful mentors are the ones who ask the right questions of you to make you be introspective and think about something differently, or maybe from a different perspective, and almost come up with the answer on your own. So that in itself, like you said, teacher, like, okay, let's go through the book. We're going to talk about these words. We're going to, like right now we have sight words up on the fridge, and, those kind of things. Like, you're being a teacher. Like, there's some things that aren't really up for debate how you spell you, Y-O-U. And so at that point, you're being a teacher. But in moments where you are turning into a mentor, it's like, it doesn't mean that you need all the answers. You're just helping learn with your kid, along with your kid, as a mentor does if you are an adult, if you were to have a situation like that. And a guide, I like that, but that just makes me think of like, maybe another word for that is just like a role model, or someone who's modeling how to do something, because we know just from experience, and I'm sure we'll really have learned from experience once we have 18-year-olds, that they've learned how to do things or how to treat people just by watching us do that. And so being a guide to me feels like being a role model and modeling the things that we want them to learn. I'd love to go back to one thing you were talking about, the moment of realizing you learned, like, oh, this is school? Oh, this is school. Like, that's way different than my school experience. When I think about all of that, I'm realizing, like, whoa, how do I learn as an adult? And I know most of us, and we probably all have friends. I mean, we went to college together. We probably all have adult friends who have said something along the lines of, man, if I could just go back and retake that class now as an adult, I would remember so much more of it, or I would love it so much more, or I would benefit from it way more. But it's because in hindsight you have a different perspective after having lived life a little bit, you know. So now, like, going back to school as an adult, or, you know, we learn things differently as an adult because it's rooted in experience. And I think if we can help our kids learn that way from the beginning, like, it's not actually a hard thing for us to facilitate as dads, because that's how we're learning already as adults. Like, I mean, especially now in the world of AI and all this stuff, all of the information, we have more information now than generations before us have ever had. And like, we can learn whatever we want pretty quickly. And so being able to help your kid, I think one of the biggest wins is teaching your kid how to learn. You're not necessarily teaching them all the book lessons, but you're teaching them how to find the answer if they need the answer. And that is a huge deal. Like, because that's stuff we've learned as adults, you know. And if our kids can learn that now, like, they're going to be miles ahead.
Yeah. It is funny because when we do, you know, some stuff from the book, I think writing curriculum is, you know, not an easy task. And then trying to do it for universally for anyone to be able to pick this up and then apply it. But, you know, a big part of so much with curriculum is trying to give it context, trying to attach it to a story, or trying, you know, an illustration of how this works out. You know, Joe and Sally went to the store and did this thing, you know, like word problems. Like, they're trying to turn it into a practical example to like let the information stick and like have context. But a lot of times it's just like, they don't care about that. Like, why do I care about Joe and Sally? When, you know, you can make any of, you know, what they're learning, you can make it really interesting easily, you know, with like what we're cooking today, what we're going to eat, or what our activity is, what are you doing right now? And, you know, that was always things like, oh, if there's a word problem, I can pretty much just rewrite that word problem for something that you care about. And now this will, like you said,
now this
like,
won't be boring.
Exactly, because like as an adult, that's how you kind of process information. You like try to relate it to your life in a way, to a project you're working on or something that we're doing. Then it sticks. It's like, okay, now I will always remember how to do that thing because I used it today in the backyard. You know, it's relevant to my life. We had to figure
out how much water we needed to fill this radius of backyard if we needed it to be 2 inches deep or whatever, you know, when you guys do your hockey rink in a couple months.
True.
There it is.
Thank you. That's going to be a good lesson.
That's
on
a
volume.
good one on volume.
But But here's the thing. What about there's a slope? So it's tricky. Like one side has got like a lot of water and the other side just needs, 4 inches.
Yep.
That's
Well,
I'm going to have to refresh.
life also isn't all about having all of the perfect measurements either.
No, yeah, right. Once it's full, and you don't need to know. You will get the water bill at the end of the month, though.
Yep. You
It
definitely
will tell you exactly.
how many gallons you used. Yeah, I think a previous generation of homeschool mums and dads have gotten stuck just on that teacher part. And I think that's also what overwhelms mums and dads thinking of going into homeschool, because they think that that's the role that they need to step into only.
Yeah, it's overwhelming.
And that would be overwhelming. Like if you were thinking, let's say you have an idea of what school looks like, and if you think the idea of homeschool is you just need to recreate school at home, then you're going to be overwhelmed. But I think being dad smart, let's create a new word here, being mum smart. If you want to be dad smart and mum smart in this lens of teaching your kids through life experience, I think you can't get stuck on that first teacher part. You have to be able to be introspective, like I was talking about, be self-aware and constantly maturing. Like you have to be able to step past teacher to mentor and then also to guide. Like you have to be able to get through there and step into all of those roles. But in some weird way, stepping into those 3 roles feels less overwhelming than stepping into just the role of teacher, because we all have this perception of what that looks like.
Yeah.
And being able to just do the other ones as well is just a weight off your shoulder, because you're like, oh, that's how I learn as an adult, so I'm just going to bring my kids along with me.
You're already dad smart.
You are already dad smart. Dad smart is within you already. Yeah. And it's just intentionality is what's going to bring your dad smarts out and help you leverage them in those moments when you need to step up as a teacher, step up as a mentor, step up as a guide. It's already in you. And so I hope that the idea of dad smart is inspiring for dads to realize that. Like, this doesn't need to be overwhelming. So I'm going to let myself off the hook a little bit and trust that, like, I have it in me to actually teach my kids some stuff.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what the name means to me. It's not duct tape, but it is, it's a way of showing up, being intentional. And I think now it's something that's like kind of in the back of my head. Like, it is a motivating factor to, hey, tomorrow's Monday and we're going to do our school together. And I have a degree to teach. It's like I have dad smart. Like I have who I am. I have that. And when you realize that that's what you have backing you up, it's powerful, and you get to do some incredible things. Yeah. So as we kind of wrap up, just talking about this term, dad smart, and this podcast name, and hopefully people listen to it and then start to identify themselves as dad smart as well. That would be incredible. But it is this learning to be this new kind of smart, or just like unlocking this idea of being a teacher, being a mentor, and being a guide. So what does that mean? That means dad smart, we're not just trying to recreate school at home. It's not trying to transplant, a whole bell system and the whole, every subject and the time and the rigidity of a school building.
You go and buy a yellow
home.
Vehicle. You have a yellow vehicle that you drive on school days.
Yeah. And I think it can be hard sometimes for us because I grew up going to public school, so there's a lot of like nostalgic memories about the things about school, like a desk and like the flip up thing, and you have all your stuff inside. And I've even seen people who get those desks and bring them into their homes for their kids to do their school at the desks, and that's like really sweet and everything. But if you're doing school at home, you have your whole bedroom, you have
the park down the street. Yeah,
everything. You don't have to. Yeah, it doesn't have to be contained in a desk or a classroom. So it's not recreating school at home. It's really recognizing there are so many different ways to learn, and learning how to teach in different ways. I think that is a really important part, and it's just kind of building moments for our kids for real life learning. Yeah, so it's a simple idea once you get it, and once it's just kind of there. And I think when you kind of explain it that way, it's like, oh, that's all that it is? Well, I do that all the time. Well, welcome. Welcome to Dad Smart.
Welcome
We're glad to have you.
being Dad Smart.
Yeah.
You've already got it.
I know. Yeah. It seems kind of silly, but it is like, it's like an initiation you have to like believe in yourself for. And there's nothing you have to pass or a test to take that says, okay, you're approved to do that. You just are, and it's just a realization, a switch that you flip, and you're just like, okay, I am ready for this. I can do it.
And for the dads out there who might feel like, I'm actually not prepared for this, like I'm a high school dropout, or I'm whatever, whatever it is that you're thinking, I legitimately don't think I'm qualified for this. Like, also welcome to being Dad Smart, because your kid can learn so many things from you as an adult. And maybe this is a good way to wrap up. There's this book that I got given for my birthday last year. No, Father's Day last year. Alta got it. The boys drew in it, and it's called Side by Side. We also have a company called Side by Side Chai, so that's partially why. But it's just these drawings, these beautiful drawings of like kids playing with their dad or playing with their mom, or I think it might just be, it's just dads and kids, and it says like mountain and climber, and it's got a picture of the dad is the mountain and the kid is the climber, and then it's like ship and anchor, and like they're playing all of these two different roles together. But then there's two separate pages that there's teacher, and it's the dad, and learner, and the kid. And then it jumps to another one, and it has the dad tangled up in this jump rope, and the kid is jumping really great. And then it switches the titles, and it says to the kid, teacher, and the dad is learner. So the reality is that, like, good. While there's things that you're going to be able to teach your kid because you're great at, you're also going to be learning a lot from your own kids as well. So, like, while we're a teacher, we're also being learner as well, because our kids also have so much to teach us as well. And I'm sure we're going to recognize that and see and feel more of that as we get deeper in this. And so for the dads out there who feel like they're not qualified, you are already qualified. But lean into the reality that you don't feel qualified, because that's going to create more special moments where you're learning from your kid and they're learning from you. And it's this co-learning and co-building for real life, like you said, together.
Yep. I like that. Good. All right, Jesse. Well, good luck being Dad Smart this week.
You too.
With school.
Yeah.
And the house and all the things.
All the things.
Can't wait to hear how you are Dad Smart next time we talk.
Cool. See you next time.